Hello everybody. I wanted to stream a little about some cotton work that I've been doing here of late, some modding in game having to do with some cotton harvesters and pickers. And I really don't know that much about cotton. I know it's grown more in the southern region of the US where I live and in other areas in the world, of course, but I really don't know. It's unfamiliar to me as to kind of how it's cultivated, harvested, and all that. So I barely know what I'm doing. I kind of know the end result that I want to have in game, but how to get there is taking a little bit of effort. There really wasn't that much done in FarmSim 15 when it came to cotton type harvesting or crops. There were some maps I know that had it, and by and large, unless someone did some of the things I'm going to show here, there really wasn't much available for cotton harvesting equipment, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of other equipment, that would be used for cotton work that it's just beyond me because I just flat out don't know. I'm ignorant. So I was able to find a couple harvesters on the internet at least, and one of them is kind of what's depicted in the picture here with it's a John Deere 9950. And I don't know that this came to the game later. I almost think it was what was it, FarmSim 19, and this is 15 that I'm doing it for, so it's kind of an old game now. I know there was some cotton modded stuff in 17 that showed up. I remember meeting somebody online that was doing quite a bit of work with cotton, and I don't know that they ever made any of that public, but I know some of it was coming in mods in 17, but I think we had to wait until 19 before there was a full-on DLC that it was available as a crop in game, as to where it was just commonplace in the game. But back in 15, if you wanted to have it, there was quite a bit more work you had to do. And I'm working with a map here that I've previously modded, and of course anything we do with cotton, because it isn't one of the standard fruits, that comes with the game, it presumes you have modded a map. And back in 15, you would install this, some of the textures in the map's i3D file, of course, and then you would have another mod, I think it was called the multi-fruit mod, where you would explain how cotton was to be used. That's where it would install it in various trailers and cutters and harvesters and so forth and so on. And that's a script. I can't remember who wrote it. So this kind of presumes that all of that background work has been done, which it has. And so I think for this little video here, I just wanted to focus on the John Deere 9950 itself. And let me see, oh yeah, I can make this a little bit bigger. And again, I don't know anything about this. I've never seen one of these in real life, so in prepping for this video, I looked a few up online just to kind of see what they look like, and we of course have a model for this that someone made, and I don't know, it looks pretty similar. If we go back to the picture real quick, I guess we have it kind of at a different angle. If I really wanted to get it in parity, I'd turn around here to kind of see what the other side looks like. It doesn't have the cutter on it at the moment, kind of like the picture that we have here. This is a front part. I have another model that is for that. But somebody made this. This is what I think they would say is called a basket uh, cotton picker, if you will, where the material, maybe I should go back to the internet picture. The material is cut, stripped, I'm not sure of the terminology there. Maybe if someone ever watches this and they know how cotton picking works, it can inform all of us. The more I learn about it, I mean, it's just as sophisticated as any other crop, and there's different types of attachments for this. I think I saw a picker versus a stripper type head, and I really don't know what the difference of those are, nor do I know what kind we have in game. All I know is it does the job, so that's good enough for me. So I think what happens is the cotton plants, as they come through here, you kind of got to use your imagination, and we'll see it in game in a little bit. They come in here, they get stripped, picked by some agitators of some kind in here, and I believe these black tubes have air that pushes them up into the basket. So it only takes the cotton off the plant, it sticks it up in here, and of course this is all wide open to the air, although it's mesh around here, so obviously the air can escape, and the cotton, of course, is left behind. And it's intended to handle in bulk, so you would need a special trailer, that kind of thing, to take it from the field. And I think when it's full, this tips up. It's probably very heavy, through hydraulics. The basket's lifted and it's dumped into a trailer. And I've already expended everything I know about the process now. I'm just going off of how I've seen this thing behave in game. So once again, someone made the model. Really not sure who made it or where it was procured from. All I know is I think it'll do the job for what we need it for in game. So I I'm trying to remember what all I did. This has been some time ago that I did some modding on this. A lot of times when modding happens, all of us, I would say, that dabble with modding, we have limited experience, limited time, limited expertise, whatever you want to call it. So someone, like I say, made the model. Someone then in-gamed it and added all these pieces, and there was a bunch of XML work, that had to be done to make it work in-game the way it should. But as with so many things, especially when it's kind of a specialty type setup like this is, not enough work was done, and so a lot of times you'll download one of these mods and you'll see that something is just off. Maybe it's scale, maybe it's some of the lights don't work, maybe it doesn't work, period, and you need to do a bunch of work to get it to go. And oftentimes they will just barely work, and that's good enough for whoever did it and sent it up. And a lot of times that's frustrating to other people who would rather have a mod, that doesn't kick errors into the log, or that it works, fully functions, the lights turn on when they're supposed to, and this, that, and the other. So I don't know where I fit in there. All I knew is I have cotton in this map. I'd like to pick it with a genuine cotton picker, at least one that kind of looks like a cotton picker, like this one here. So I'm trying to remember, like I say, some of the work that I did on it. I think I did some stuff on the wheels. Some of the collisions were maybe off. In the basket, I seem to recall adding some particle animation, to when this thing tips up and it dumps into a trailer, there wasn't very good particle animation for it coming out. And for that matter, it still isn't very good because I did it. But I was just trying to help it a little bit. And I'm sure there's much more that could be done on it. But the biggest thing I really wanted to do was to do some Lua scripting work behind it to get it to behave a little different from a combine. Most fruits that get put into a map require a combine type machine to harvest it. We're all familiar with the wheat, the barley, and corn and some of those kinds of things, although corn can be chopped. But maybe most people don't realize that whether it's a combine or a corn chopper both run on what's called the combine specialization. And the same is true for this cotton harvester. It pretends it's a combine. It just like a regular combine, it'll put a header up here, a cutter. It'll take it in, material in, and it'll accumulate a product in here, just like a combine would harvesting grain. The trouble is, the combine does things that we don't want the cotton harvester to do, or things you would never see it do in real life. For example, we've probably all had this, when you're harvesting barley, say, and your combine is getting full and a trailer pulls alongside, and maybe I'll just click on that right here. I think there's a trigger. Yeah, I think it's right here close by. When a trigger is something that follows this vehicle, and it's the detection mechanism for when a tractor and a trailer come along alongside the combine. It tells the combine, hey, someone's here, it's time to unload. And we've all seen the pipe, swing out from the combine and it starts overloading into the trailer. Well, all well and good for a combine, but when it's a cotton harvester, there is no pipe that's going to swing out. It still needs, of course, to detect a trailer, but this big old basket isn't going to just raise up while the machine keeps moving and harvesting. That isn't something I don't think, again, I admit my ignorance. I'm just assuming with all the weight that's in there, given how these pipes up here bring the material up in here, they're blowing it in. So the moment you move the basket, you would be just blowing cotton all over the place instead of collecting it if you are raising the basket. I'm just assuming that in order for it to unload, harvesting needs to stop, the machine needs to stop, and then it can safely unload. So I wanted some coding to get this to say, hey, even though a trailer comes up, if they come up and if you're ready to dump, stop the machine, stop the harvest, something like that. Another thing we'll see is when the pipe is swinging back on a regular combine and when it's being put away, the combine can keep going. Well, kind of like we were just describing, until the basket is fully seated back onto the machine, no harvesting can take place. So I'm just going to bring this up to describe some of the things that I tried to do to get it to work, hopefully a little more realistically. So I have a Lua script here, and what I'm doing is coming in and modifying some of the specializations that are already in the game. I didn't create a new one. I'm just modifying existing ones. So, for example, the AI Combine, this is a giant script. This is the load section of their script, and I am appending something to it, meaning it's going to do everything else that's already in here, and then it's going to tack on a few things that I put in the bottom. And by the way, this is how you do this in Lua. If you're just adding something, it's a utils appended function. You take the existing function that you want to modify or append something to, and then you tell it what you're appending. So this AI combine cotton fix, this is all up here. It's load, so you're telling it kind of what you're putting in there. That's kind of what we do. So it's just if it detects the presence of cotton, then it's going to do a few other things. So this will go into every combine, whether it likes it or not, and it's just going to detect if there's cotton in there, and then it's going to do some other things. I also had to add something, and I recently had a computer failure, so I had to redo a bunch of this. Some of this coding was conflicting with another mod, so I put the add in here because I also have a machine I'll do in a different video on a cotton baler. So this is the AI Combine stuff, and AI, of course, is when we go into hire mode. So that's what the purpose of this whole script, to tell it what to do, and when it's harvesting cotton with this basket picker, there's some things it needs to do. So one of the things I wanted it to do is, only if we're dealing with cotton will it run this script. That's all. If it doesn't, or if it's something else, then what it does down here is it follows the regular script. That's your super function. Or at least that's, I don't know, super function, whatever that is. That's what it is in my mind. This is overriding versus appending in this case, meaning it's going to take what we have and it's going to supersede or do instead of what AI Combine update tick has in it. But the setup is very similar. But one other thing that you have is it remembers what the former function was. So if you don't want it to do it, it comes down here in this super function as, hey, don't do any of the above, just do the regular stuff. So in here, there's various things. If the trailer comes up, we need to make sure that we stop. And this is recording some timers in here. That's how long it takes to raise, lower the basket, so that it kind of knows when it can start and stop. That's kind of on AI Combine overloading. And see, a Combine or any mod, that we have in here or machine typically has multiple specializations. A combine, of course, is going to have a combine specialization. It's also going to have AI combine specialization. It's also going to have the ability to overload. The pipe swinging out, that's an overloading type action. So of course the combine needs to have overloading. Well, when we're unloading it, kind of like we were describing earlier, we want to make sure that it stops, that the player can't move it while it's in the air. So I put a few safeguards in here. Hey, if you raise the basket and you attempt to move it, it's going to immediately lower it, whether you like it or not. And some of this is safety. Like I say, that's probably a tremendous amount of weight. It probably makes the machine a little top heavy. So in real life, I'm assuming you wouldn't just raise a basket in the air and then take it off, because I think there'd be repercussions to your machine. They're pretty uh, beefy machines, if you will, but you still have to treat them with respect, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on repairs. So that's kind of what this is doing. If you got the basket in the air and you try to move, it's going to immediately lower it just for safety. That's kind of an overloading. And there's various things in here that needed to be done in order to accomplish this. Oh, what's another one? The cutter. In the multi-fruit mod, it's going to, whenever you add a new crop, which we have here to a map, cotton, it wants to, the purpose of that mod is to make it so that every mod, every in-game machine can now deal with the new crop that you just installed into the map. So it's going to detect the cotton is there, and it's going to say, okay, what kind of a combine does it take to harvest it? What kind of a trailer, do you put it in? And so there's a lot of cutters in the game that are going to have cotton in it, and we don't want that. I played on a server with this particular map I'm going to show in a little bit, and my partner player, for whatever reason, he didn't like the cotton picker. He didn't cotton to the cotton picker. So he would just harvest it with a regular combine. Well, that just looks ridiculous. I can't imagine anybody anywhere harvests cotton using a regular combine unless they're harvesting it for the seed. Maybe then they use a combine. But to get the fluffy white cotton, it requires a specialized machine. So to me, it just looked ridiculous to have a combine pull into the cotton field and start collecting white cotton up in the grain tank as if it was light grain. So what I wanted to do with this script was remove the ability to do that. So in this case here, I added a few first cutter runs. So what it's going to do is it's going to cycle through any cutters that are in the game, and it's going to remove, it does that right here. If you have cotton in there, it's going to take it away. So, yeah, but you'll notice I didn't put that on any cotton equipment itself. Remember up above we had some qualifiers that if it was cotton related, that it would do certain things. Well, down here I don't have those qualifiers. So the cotton, in other words, a cotton equipment should still function just like we want it to, if I've done it right. Turn on vehicle, that's another specialization, and basically it's real simple. You know, a baler has it, a combine has it. You can turn the motor on, if you will, but it requires another step to literally turn on your harvesting equipment. So that's kind of what this is. And the question we have to answer in here is, you know, when can we harvest? Well, kind of like this statement here is disengage the harvester if an attempt is made at harvesting while the basket's raised. You know, kind of like we've talked earlier, it makes no sense to start harvesting if the basket is way high in the air unloading. So this is going to disable any attempt to harvest if the basket's raised. So that's kind of just a brief explanation, and I'm sorry, this is probably a lot of code. I have no idea if that's of interest to anyone. I guess I just wanted to share it. I did this quite a long time ago. I had, and in some of my videos somewhere, I explained kind of my journey to learn a little about modding. It is hard, at least for me. And so anything I can share that may, although I realize this game is getting old, this particular one, you know, to help someone else out and jumpstart their learning curve, I'm happy to share. So anyhow, this script is called through a mod description. I don't think I have that open. Yeah, I don't have it here, so I won't show it in there. But there's a mod that I have in it accompanies this particular model, and it's just part of it, and it goes in and it affects all harvesters. So enough of all that. To show kind of how it works, let me just hop in game. I have one here. This, by the way, is the Glen Ellie map. It's a Scottish map, and I don't think they grow cotton in Scotland. So I'm sorry to anybody who would have take issue with that. But it's in this map, and I use this particular map a lot for me to learn a few things about modding. And there's some other crazy things I've done with this map. You'll notice the field is loaded with objects out there, or obstacles. That's kind of for some other things that I'm doing, and I can't remember if I made a video on what's going on with those or not. But anyway, this poor cotton picker is going to have to navigate a little around there. Oh, and I got my trusty sheep out here. That's a mod I have in the folder at the moment, but let's just hop in here. So there's our basket. Actually, I take that back. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to just go over to the combine here. I just got done explaining in the script that we tried to disable for a regular combine. What we should find is that this should not be able to harvest cotton. So I'm going to just come up here and we're going to see if that is true. Alright, just like so many others, we lower our header, we get her going, and alright. That's behaving exactly how we'd want it to. And in real life, of course, if you took a combine in there, it would cut it and it would attempt to take it in, but nothing much would happen. In our case here, it basically deactivates it, and that's telling us this combine is not able to harvest it, nor would any other combine be able to. Alright, let's see if we can hop in here. Now we'll crank this up. You know, I installed a little compass mod in here, which is really helpful. Another thing I installed in here was multi-angle terrain, you know, so it isn't a straight north, south, east, west lines in here. And I tell you, if you're doing that and you want to cut a straight path, it's really helpful to have a compass mod in there. Anyway, let's get this going, and I'll just get it engaged, and we'll see it's starting to collect cotton a little bit. Let me just pause. You can already see kind of inside there, there's a little bit of cotton coming in there. So it's going to grow as the thing fills. Now, it looks like it's put a lot in there. So why don't we just hire him? Oh, that's very silly. I don't know why it allowed me to harvest the little bit that I did. I always forget this step. Can I teleport to the middle? Where is, well, it's not letting me teleport. Alrighty, I'll just run on out here real quick. Gotta go by the field. Okay, that's strange. It took my combine and teleported it out here. I don't know why it did that, but anyway. We will buy our field. Then we'll hop in here and let's get him harvesting. So right now I have him on higher mode, and hopefully he skirts around these objects. Yeah, it's pushing a rock out in front of it, which tells me that the collision box in front of the header is a little bit bigger than the header itself, because you see some gap between the header and the rock. Not sure it matters. Yeah, he's going to have some difficulties here. Well, or will he? Oh, color me impressed. He actually made it through, even though there's some rocks. Yeah, I got another script running that's making for some debris. So let me go get in the tractor and we'll see how this behaves. Here's a tractor. The multi-fruit script, that I mentioned earlier, has already been installed, so this trailer should accept cotton. We'll just head on up here and see if we can collect some of it. Looks like he stopped on a rock, which is good enough. There he is. He's detected it. There we go. Oh, he's kind of pouring through the side of the trailer. But that white is some extra, or that stuff coming out, that's some extra particle animation I put on there. It looks like it could stand to be a little bit whiter than it is. But it looks like he offloaded everything to us. So there's our cotton in the trailer. But I need to go back. It appears, yeah, he's stopped on a machine. We'll just get a rock rather. Let's just cut on around him. I'm just going to turn around in the field here. Probably in real life you would never do this, because I think you treat it as a row crop. You just skirt kind of around the edge of this here rock. See if it's straight. I got to get to 270 when I'm heading this way. How persnickety I need to be on the angle. So we'll get him going. I want to show or see if the script will... Oh dear, can you get around that? Oh mercy. Oh, these obstacles. This is a terrible thing probably to do when trying to work on a mod, to have a bunch of junk in a field. Once again, let me get that. That's right close enough. Alright, let's get to my trailer. Let's see if he stops when he raises the basket. When I come up alongside. When I got that rock, he did. He did, but then he puts it down. So, okay, that's close enough. So that shows that he does stop when he's dumping off to a trailer. I'm a little far away from it, but it's still hitting my trailer. But it proves that he stops. Now he should keep going now that he's emptied. I think. I don't know that he will just sit there with us hitting his trigger. There he goes. Alright. So now that we've proven that, let me take him off higher and see if there's no trailer, we can still take the pipe up. And it removed all my HUDs. I'm kind of in, yeah, see, we can do this, but if I try to move it, well, I guess it'll let me do backwards, but if I try to go forwards and start cutting again, yeah, slow down before lifting basket. Cannot harvest while basket is raised. You know, I gotta say, and this is so typical of modding, I thought that moving forward, and maybe it needs to be harvesting. Let me just put it down. I thought that mere movement would take the basket down. Let me make sure I'm not pulling any errors. Yeah, I don't see any. I'm just going to turn it back on again. So I'm collecting it. Let me see if I can lift it. Slow down before lifting, it says. So it'll let me lift it while it's still harvesting, but I'm not moving. But as soon as I move, there it goes. It knocked me out of harvest mode, and it immediately started lowering the basket. So I guess it's doing what we want it to do. I guess the only other, well, it won't let me start. It'll let me start raising it. Oh, there we go. There's the difference. If I stop and I try to raise it, and then if I move either forward or back, it will immediately lower it. I guess what I noticed a little bit ago is when it's in the totally raised position, and you attempt to move, it won't automatically lower the basket. In any event, this is kind of a little bit of work I've been doing on this, and hopefully I can use it in some of my Let's Plays at some point when they farm cotton in Scotland. Thank you all for watching, and you have yourself a wonderful day. Take care for now. Bye-bye.